What's up, everybody? It's J and J with Justin and Jordan. But today, Jordan is not here. I am joined by a special guest. Got my godbrother right here, Victor.
Sir, how's everybody doing?
Fellow Knicks fan too, fan of the pod.
Yes, sir.
It's good to have you on, my brother.
Absolutely.
So today, well, Jordan usually asks me. This is weird. Well, so Jordan's not here because he got some work shit. But it's cool. The show still goes on. I got my topics today. We will be talking about the OG to the Knicks trade because we didn't get to talk about it. Unfortunately, as soon as we wrapped up last episode, the trade just went down.
Of course.
So if you guys follow us on TikTok at the J&J podcast, y'all probably saw it. Yeah, we gave our reactions. Right now, we're a little bit more like, we've seen 2 games already, so we kind of. And another one are the OKC Thunder, legit contenders. They've been playing really good lately, but we're gonna talk about that. What is wrong with the Lakers right now? It's not looking too good right now. There's a lot of questions to be had. They're frustrated with Darvin Ham, and is this the most talent in the league ever? Those are the topics to today, but we could start off with the Knicks trading for OG Anunoby. We gave up RJ Barrett, Emmanuel Quickly, and a second-round pick. In return, we got OG. We got Malachi Flynn and Precious Achiuwa. Tell me your thoughts as a fellow Knicks fan about this trade.
Initially, I of course, I couldn't believe it. Not necessarily because of who they traded. It was more like the timing of it. I thought the Knicks would at least wait until the trade deadline or whatnot. But then thinking about it more, it makes sense why, they it seems like they were formulating this for a while. They wanted to get somebody that I guess could defend at a high level and whatnot. My biggest concern and my reaction to the trade, which a lot of people thought, I guess I was negative about. Somebody hit me up the other day I thought you were upset about OG after he went off. I'm like, nah, it's just we traded RJ Barrett, Emmanuel Quickly, and it's for me, it's for uncertainty because those guys, you have RJ that regardless of what people want to say about him, I think he's, every year has improved. I don't think he's necessarily the best fit with Brunson and Randall because of how much he, needs the ball to be effective.
Yeah.
But I thought him, and I thought if we were able to extend Quickly, would have been, adequate enough then to just trade for OG Anunoby, who, even though he might be a better fit, it's more do you really think, are you certain that we can keep this guy and then maybe sign somebody else?
Yeah. Nah, yeah. For me, the trade, I was initially sad just because RJ and Quickly are 2 homegrown guys. Everyone knows, or a lot of fans of the show know, I'm a Duke fan.
Yeah.
So I got to watch RJ play at Duke for a full season and then get drafted to my favorite team. So, yeah, I'm going to have an attachment to him. And him being the number 1 player in high school, I'm thinking he could grow into this potential star. But yeah, I agree with you. I don't think he could fit with Randall and Brunson wasn't really there. And like you said, I agree too that he did improve every year. I was telling somebody this the other day. Every year he was in New York, he improved every single year. The year that he took a dip was Brunson's first year there. But that's gonna happen. You're adding another ball handler. And none of us thought Brunson was going to play the way he did last season. So, and same thing with IQ. We took a chance on him. Very good coming out of Kentucky. And he blossomed. He became everyone's favorite rookie his rookie year, hitting big shots. He had big games for us. And it sucks because, as a franchise, it's very rare that we draft guys and we keep them and we hold on to them.
Absolutely.
We always draft a guy and we get rid of them and we trade them. I think before Mitchell Robinson, wasn't Charlie Ward the last rookie we extended or some shit? Some shit like that. It was like in the 90s.
Yeah.
But yeah, it doesn't happen often for us.
Before I started watching basketball, that's for sure.
But yeah, the OG, I mean, it makes sense in hindsight because we wanted, they didn't want to, we had to pay quickly in the summer. We already paid RJ Barrett, Brunson, we gave him a contract, and Randall is probably going to be up for a contract soon when we paid him, 2021, right?
Yeah.
Something like that. So that would have been a lot.
I think 2020, but to your point, both him and Brunson after next season are free agents.
So then, with all that going like together, the main goal for this team is to get another star to this core. And it's going to be tough to have that with all the salary cap that you got. So, you had to move on from RJ's contract. Didn't want to pay quick. I know you're taking a risk with OG because he's a free agent this summer, but his play style fits a lot more better than RJ Barrett's because he's a 3-and-D wing, one of the best defenders in the league.
Yep.
He could hit threes at a high level. He could put the ball on the floor, but he doesn't do it at a point where it kind of takes away from the other two guys.
Yeah.
And he's a slasher. He gets it within the offense. So he's going to fit in really well with this group. We already saw 2 games. We beat the Timberwolves first game. We were up big on them, and I was getting kind of scared because after OG fouled out, I was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
But we got that one, and then we just beat the Bulls the other night.
Ooh.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Shout out to my brother for that one. Yeah, he's a Bulls fan. That guy.
Man,
but sorry, Anthony.
But so far I'm kind of just like I'm cool on the trade right now. I like OG. I'm hoping he has a good year with us. And I'll still be rooting for RJ. And I'm tuning into Raptors games now.
Oh, absolutely.
But I hope we make there has to be another move on the horizon. This just can't be the final move.
Absolutely. Like, well, to your point, honestly, for me, that was the thing. RJ Barrett was my favorite player on the Knicks.
Yeah.
And, I think a lot of people that would talk to me about the Knicks was very obvious. So I didn't want to keep him, but I also, acknowledge and realize that he wasn't, I watch Knicks games all the time, and I realized that he wasn't, the best fit next to Brunson and Randall. And to your point with OG, he is like the quintessential 3D guy because the thing about 3D guys that make them so effective are, most of them are, almost never all-stars because, their job, like, I guess you can kind of, this might sound a little crazy, but like very, very early on in his career, Paul George was kind of a 3D guy until he just completely became an all-star. Everybody was like, well, you do more. As a 3D guy, OG Anunoby, I think, shoots like 42% from the corner. That's the thing. RJ, when you see him play, he has to create the offense for himself.
Yeah.
He has to, as you said, take the opportunities away from Brunson, Randall, take a good 5-10 seconds off of the shot clock there just to, create something that might not work for him necessarily either. So I think in terms of the basketball fit, it might be better for the Knicks, but I think, and I might sound a little bit delusional saying this, we almost made the conference finals last year, and I thought that the Knicks roster this year was good enough to make it again. A lot of people don't think Brunson is a 1A. I don't know. And I know this might sound crazy. I think when when Brunson and Randall are playing consistent, they're borderline on that level. They might not be a Kevin Durant or, like a Giannis now or Embiid. They're not going to put up 35 points a game, but there's somebody I think that, especially when you have 2 of them, I don't think it's crazy if they won a championship. And I'm trying to speak as if I'm not a Knicks fan, because the Knicks had so much that. I mean, you could just throw in Josh Hart. You could throw in Dante DiVincenzo. You could have thrown in Emmanuel Quickly, even Quentin Grimes. You know what I mean? But now it's more how you're going to replace that offense from Emmanuel Quickly. And again, are we going to, I think the point that you made again before, how the Knicks, it's like we draft all these guys and we never keep them.
Yeah.
So it's like for us, our perception is, well, we never keep these guys. What makes you think we're gonna sign somebody essentially to replace them that's gonna be even better? Because that was the whole point of trading them.
Yeah.
You don't want to trade them away and then sign guys that, RJ Barrett and Emmanuel Quickley are better than. Because to me, that's almost essentially a waste. Money is supposed to help you win a championship. I mean, this is a whole nother topic, but it's like the Phoenix Suns, all that money that they've spent, they have no draft capital until, dude, I'm going to be like in my 30s by then, by the time these people have, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
A first overall pick. And the Knicks, at least we have, a whole bunch of draft capital still. But like I thought that RJ and Quickley were the two best assets that we had in a trade. And it's like, and there's no disrespect to OG because I like OG. But if you're going to trade away your two best assets for that player, then like if you want to go get a Donovan Mitchell or another player, then what? You can't just trade picks. Yeah. Somebody's got to go.
Yeah.
So to me, it's like at that point, is it going to be Randall? Because he's the only one that has that kind of contract. Evan Fournier's is going to expire.
Yeah.
So.
Now, yeah, I've seen a lot of people making that point that RJ and Quickley, that was supposed to be the star move. Like, if you're gonna get a star, that was the package.
Exactly.
So, yeah, like you said, that now is kind of like up in the air. Like, if somebody does become available, what are they gonna give up? Because you can't just give up picks. You're right. So, and I guess Randall might have to be the guy because we've seen like. He's played phenomenal like his whole tenure with the Knicks. Well, I'll say outside of that first year, but in the playoffs it's like a completely different story. I know this past playoffs he was hurt,
absolutely,
but that Hawks series was hard to watch. Like Derrick Rose was our best player in that series, and I mean, I don't know, he got the injury last playoffs and all shit like that, but until I see him have a dominant playoff performance, I'm going to continue to count him out.
Of course.
Because I know, just based on the last two playoffs, Brunson is going to show up in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, they say a lot of shit about RJ, but that motherfucker stepped up when it was time. Like, I know he played bad those first two Cavs games in the series, but after that, he was arguably like our second or third best player. Yeah. And Mitchell Robinson was up there too.
Yeah.
So... yeah, I guess I know people talk about Donovan Mitchell being the target, Joel Embiid being a target. It really just depends. Like
not anymore, Joel.
Yeah, I mean, I'm praying for Philly to lose in round one, and then yeah. But even then, what does that trade look like? Like Randall.
Even then, I don't think he would do it because, and I was gonna make this point as well. Like I'm not an NBA insider, of course. I don't know. This is all, presumptive and stuff. But, like, the 76ers have a lot of money. They have an MVP candidate. They have two All-Stars. You know, I mean, Tyrese Maxey's going to be an All-Star. There's just no way. Great players as well to back up with, like Tobias Harris, Kelly Oubre, DeAnthony Melton. And then a coach in Nick Nurse who, I really hate to be, I guess like throw shit at the fan when Doc Rivers is already down, you know what I mean? But like, obviously this team under Nick Nurse in comparison to Doc Rivers, it's a big difference. And also OG knows, Nick Nurse's system. So it's like, if we lose early and he sees them going to the conference finals, Philly could easily just take that away.
I didn't even think about that scenario.
I don't know how accurate this is, but I'm pretty sure they could sign OG and still be able to trade for a guy like Pascal Siakam. Because they have a lot of money. They still have a good amount of picks. I mean, Daryl Morey, this guy, is going to do anything possible. So that's my concern with the Knicks is like, again, I understand why they made the trade, but it's just like I feel like at least you could have waited until the trade deadline.
Yeah, you're paying for a rental basically.
That's how I feel like, because we don't know if it's going to be a rental. He has a player option, which I'd be shocked if he accepted. But you never know. I mean, he could accept it. We could have him for another year. You don't know. But it's like, to me, the Knicks basically said, okay, well, we can't win a championship with what we have now, so we're going to make this trade and essentially cross our fingers and hope for the best.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I completely agree with that. I think the parity in the league right now, I mean, just look at the Warriors and the Suns.
Yeah.
You know, like, it's so equal right now that, like, if the Knicks, and maybe, again, I'm just talking because, I mean, you see my gear, I'm a Knicks fan, of course. But, like, I've literally had people tell me, oh, you know, if you guys go to the conference finals, like, I want to see, you know, I don't think that's crazy or anything like that. Like, you guys play hard, you have a deep team, well coached. I'm like, I know, like, you know, I think we're really good. My thing, like what you were saying before with Randall, that's the thing about Randall. I love Randall because, you know, I mean, that's almost like the heart of the city right there. That guy, I don't care what anybody says. You know, I don't always agree with him. Like when he was booing the fans.
Yeah, that shit was crazy.
For booing at him. All that shows to me is that he cares. Yeah. You know, at least that he cares. I just, you know, he's hard to watch because of the shot selection.
Yeah.
He's almost like, he's gotten better, the guy I'm about to mention. But like Jalen Green, if you saw him his rookie year.
Yeah.
I mean, Randall, it wasn't that bad, but like Randall, you know, his shot selection in the playoffs. Yeah, one of my boys is a Knicks fan.
Yo, it's funny. It's funny you mentioned that because I seen Gilbert Arenas' podcast and he was like, yo, if the what did he say? He was like, if the Knicks offered Brunson and Randall for Jalen Green, the Rockets would say no. I seen that shit and I was like, bro, get this nigga out the fucking screen, bro.
Yeah.
And I like Gilbert Arenas, bro, but after that shit, I'm like, bro, I can't watch this shit.
Nah, that's crazy. Yeah. That's crazy.
He was like, the Knicks need to trade for a star like Jalen Green. I'm like, all right, fuck this nigga. I'm not watching that shit.
Right. Gilbert Arenas. Well, all due respect, I don't know how. I mean, that's Agent Zero right there. That's, you know, all-star guy. I mean, he's had some good takes and stuff, but the guy's crazy in that.
Nah, yeah, that was a crazy-ass take.
Yeah, you can't take everything he says seriously. It's like Paul Pierce. You know, don't even get me started with Paul Pierce's takes, but yeah, that for the most part, though, like back to the Knicks, that's my biggest issue with Randall has always been his shot selection, but you know who we had that issue with as well? And I mean, we never won a championship, of course, but like he was a really good player for us, not as good as Randall, J.R. Smith. You know, he was a guy that, you know, a lot of times you're like, you know, what the heck is this guy doing? Just, you know what I mean? And you would see a lot of heady J.R. Smith in New York and whatnot. But with Randall, outside of the shot selection, in my opinion, first of all, in comparison to a guy like J.R. Smith, I feel like he's a little bit more consistent.
Yeah.
But, like, that's the thing with Randall. You know, he's more consistent than J.R. Smith, maybe. But, like, he's still inconsistent. Like, he's, you know, his field goal percentage, I think early on in the season, he was shooting, like, 25% overall, like, from the field. I was telling my boy, I'm like, look, like, you know, he'll get better. He just has to improve over time. You know what I mean? Like, play more games. It's early on in the season. But right now, like, I'm not worried about Julius Randle. You know, once playoff time comes, you know, I think last year, you know, you saw it a lot with, of course, because he was injured and stuff. Yeah. It's not like his shot selection was, you know, great. But I think, like how you mentioned Derrick Rose that first year, I think him having a point guard like Jalen Brunson who could consistently put the ball in the basket, the Knicks have never had. You know, I've been watching ball since 2010. They've never had a good point guard ever.
Our last good point guard was fucking Felton. And Derrick Rose for that 1 year.
Barely Felton. I mean, me and my brother, would make memes of Raymond Felton. This guy, we'd be up by like 15, 18 points. And all of a sudden, Raymond Felton takes 5 shots in a row. And now it's a 2-3 possession game. I'm like, but he was, he had his moments, but he was never an all-star.
Nah. The first year there, before they traded for Melo, he was tough.
Yeah.
And then that 1 year where the Knicks won like 54 games, he was pretty decent. But after that, it was
or was he coming off the bench? He was coming off the bench, right?
What year?
When we won 54 games, or I think he was starting.
I think he was starting.
Smith. I said Jason Smith.
Jason Kidd.
With Jason Kidd. I think he started at shooting guard for some time and then maybe went on the bench.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Felton was starting.
Yeah. But like even like Jason Kidd was a good point guard that we had, but like out of his prime, like 39 years old.
Fucking retired after that.
Exactly. Yeah. Pablo Prigioni, the oldest rookie ever, at like 36 years old. Okay, Alfred Payton, don't even
that was the dark days.
I remember when I'm gonna look straight in the camera when I say this. I remember when we signed freaking Tony Roten, bro. Roten. You guys remember Tony Roten?
He was part of the process.
Like the struggle was real, bro. So that's why for me, like I always noticed that with Randall before we got Brunson, I'm like, yo, this guy takes the ball up the court every freaking play. Like he's just so inconsistent. That was the issue, and I think, even with Derrick Rose, like you saw a lot of that in the Hawks series, and I think that's why he was just so inefficient. Like he was never used to that. Even in LA, he had what's his name? D'Angelo Russell. Yeah. He came to New Orleans and he have Drew Holiday, right?
Yeah.
For a little bit. Like, he always had big man, in my opinion. Look at Giannis right now, with Damian Lillard, even with Drew Holiday. You always need, a point guard that can put the ball in the basket as well as he can distribute the ball. And the Knicks never had that. So that's why I feel more confident in Randall now, as long as he's able to stay healthy, But I think he needs to be comfortable on when and where to defer to Brunson in the playoffs.
That's a good point that you mentioned, because that was one thing that I said about the Brunson when we signed him, that finally Randall will have somebody that could kind of alleviate the pressure off of him. Yeah. So it's not always like on him. And when he had that early struggle, I was like, he's going to figure it out. It's only like we're in the beginning of the regular season. He's going to figure it out. But it's a lot of Knicks talk. Moving on, next topic, OKC Thunder. They've been looking really good. They just beat the Celtics the other night. And that a lot of people said that could be a potential finals matchup.
That could be.
A lot of people have been saying that. So the question is, are the OKC Thunder a legit contending team?
I don't see why not. I mean, in my opinion, it's an opinion that, is not right or wrong at all. I mean, we can have the debate all day, but I think Shea at this point is a top 5 player, at least this season. At least this season, the way he's played.
He's been hooping.
You have a top 5 player, and you have a guy that is in serious contention for Defensive Player of the Year. And you have great role players around them, like Jalen Williams, forget whatever's going off the court, but like Josh Giddey as well. He's not the best fit for them, essentially, but, he's still somebody, you give him the ball, he can make a lot of things happen. The Thunder, I think, as a whole are, and, I know it sounds crazy because they've been, they haven't shown it yet, and they didn't even make the playoffs last year, but I think that's a championship team. Like, I think they're just as good as Denver, just as good. Like, they just beat the Celtics. They beat the Timberwolves. Trying to remember who else they beat. You can probably pull it up.
Yeah, I'm about to check their last games.
They've won, like, the last 5 out of 6. Like, I watched when they played the Celtics, and I watched when they played the Timberwolves.
No, I'm thinking about the Timberwolves and Celtics game. But that Celtics game, OKC that was a really good game.
Yeah.
Nah, yeah, they just beat the Hawks the other night. Yeah, they just beat the Clippers. They beat the Lakers.
They lost to the Hawks, right?
Oh yeah, they lost to the Hawks. Yeah. But they beat the Nuggets. When Shea hit that game winner. Yeah, that shit. They beat the T-Wolves. They beat us. Yo, they beat the Nuggets twice.
Exactly. Yo, they beat the team that won the championship. They beat a team that has been the best team in the West and in the league basically all year.
Yeah.
With the Timberwolves, they beat the Celtics that a lot of people might argue are the best team in the league. And, I think, again, some people, I think, underestimate the regular season and, it's just regular season. And don't get me wrong, to a certain extent, yeah, there are teams. At the end of the day, only one team can win a championship, right?
Yeah.
But certain teams, like, you can't just say, the Thunder, they're playing great now. Trade deadline passes, they make no moves. They keep the team the same. They go into the playoffs. They have that momentum. And all of a sudden, shit just hits the fan.
Yeah.
Like that just doesn't happen. So to me, the way that they're playing now, the consistency in the regular season, I think is extremely important because watching another podcast earlier today, they made the point talking about how, like these guys, they have to get to the playoffs. They're going to have to fail. Probably play a team like the Nuggets, maybe even the Timberwolves that might be able to take them out or get to the finals and lose to a team like the Celtics. Like all teams go through it. We just as fans, we just live in the moment and we just criticize, your chokers, your flukes and whatnot. But they're just such a young team. Like, if they're this good now and they have all that capital that they have so many picks, a bunch of assets, great contracts, they're just only going to get better. To me, and this might sound crazy, I think this is the start of the birth of the new dynasty. They might not win as many as the Warriors, but I think they're going to be the next Warriors if they're not already.
Nah, yeah, I like what you said about them having to get into the playoffs. Because I feel like a lot of contending teams are teams that win a championship eventually. They go through those growing pains at first. Like, an example for me that comes to mind is the Bucks. When the Giannis era was starting to take over, we saw them lose in the first round to the Celtics. Then we saw them lose again to the Raptors when they built the wall. Then we saw them lose again to the Heat in the second round after Giannis won MVP. And then finally, the year after that, they went all the way to the finals. And it wasn't until like game one of the finals where I was like, in my head, I'm like, wow, Giannis has been through all this adversity. And I'm like, bro, that was the year where the Suns were just absolutely murdering everybody.
Yeah.
So I'm like, and everybody was like, yo, the Suns are undoubtedly the favorites. But after that game one, I know the Bucks lost, but I was like, shit, Giannis is the best player on the floor.
Oh, for sure.
And I'm like, shit. I'm like, they could probably win this shit. And like with all the shit he's been through, adversity wise, and I'm like, now he's here in this stage. I'm like, they're probably gonna win this shit. So the Bucks are a clear example of that. I feel like the Celtics are kind of like they're kind of like in the mix of that because we've seen them, the LeBron years, fucking going to the ECF, losing, being so close, and then they got to the finals 2 years ago. We're still waiting to see them come back, but the Celtics are right there too. But with the Thunder, at first I'm like, damn, are they contenders? It's kind of just out there, but this team is really, really good, bro. They have a lot of shit that complements each other. Shea, he's improved so much. Like, coming out the draft, like, I really liked his game. I didn't think he'd turn into this. Like, this is ridiculous. Bro. Like, 30-point per game score, like, with ease, too. And, like, it's middies, layups. Like, he has threes here and there, but it's like, you could tell his game is going to translate into the postseason. Like, a lot of people were talking earlier, like, oh, empty stats, like this team isn't good. Like I'm talking about like years back.
Yeah.
Because they like to do that with a lot of young players when they're putting up points. But you could tell his game is going to translate into the postseason.
Of course.
And then you got Chet Holmgren, much needed piece for this team. Last year, this team was playing with no center. And now you got a guy who's a shot blocking threat and he could space the floor, which is going to complement all the other pieces as well. Josh Giddey, fuck what he's doing off the. I mean,
yeah.
But he's been playing a little bit decent. He's been kind of inconsistent, but he's been finding his role within. He's probably the guy that's like, I don't want to say the most expendable, but like the one you could kind of maybe like do without. But he's still playing pretty well, and I really love J-Dub. He's that boy is nice. He's a bucket.
He's averaging 18 right now, and that's like I feel like he can average a lot more.
And he's not afraid, bro. Like Tatum was guarding him. Dog. Tatum was guarding him the other day, and he was like,
Jalen Williams, that is a dog.
Yeah, that boy's a fucking dog.
That is a dog.
But they got other guys too, like bro, Cason Wallace. I really like Cason Wallace. He's a good pickup, good draft. Isaiah Joe.
Isaiah
Joe's a really good.
He's a really good shooter too.
Yeah, he's really good. And I wish Trey Man would get more minutes because
I like who's that guy? Usman
Deng.
Yeah, Usman Deng.
Yeah, he's I remember when the Knicks drafted him, and then I was like, "What the fuck are we doing?" Yeah. But
just like what we did with what was it, Jalen Duren?
Dern. I was hyped when we got Jalen Duren. Yeah. And then we traded him. I was like, "Fuck."
Exactly. Like that.
I was like, "Yo, we needed him." But And then same with Lou Dort too. Another good piece. He's another guy.
Yo, how did I forget Lou Dort?
Lou Dort, big motherfucker, bro.
How do I forget?
He will lock you up and then probably dunk on you like out of nowhere. But yeah, the Thunder. Really good pieces around. But yeah, I think like you said, the inexperience is probably gonna like they're gonna probably have to take some time. So like I wouldn't if they were to lose in like the second round to like because I feel like they could potentially match up with the Clippers. I know people are like, oh, the Clippers, like they suck. But I could see them matching up with the Clippers and losing. But that doesn't mean that the Thunder suck. It's just like the Clippers just have this like overwhelming talent and they're more experienced, older team. So I could see them.
The Clippers have been playing great. They've
been playing great.
They suck. They're very well coached. The issue with the Clippers, for the most part, has always been health.
It's always been health.
You know, I think this whole idea, you know, like, of course, I'm a Knicks fan, so I always want the Knicks to, you know, win it all and everything. But I'm also realistic, and if the Knicks can't do it in the East this year, the team I want is the 76ers. I'm just sick and tired of everybody disrespecting Joel Embiid. You know, they see Nikola Jokic winning a championship and everything to the point that you made before. Every team has to go through that, the growing pains. You know how many times the Nuggets went, they lost? And I was going to mention Chris Paul, who, you know, sorry, you know, that's my favorite player. So I know everything you say about Chris Paul is biased. But I'm just keeping it real. Like, first of all, with the Thunder, what I was going to say with him was I think that's really kind of like where it started. If you remember when he got to the Thunder, they were 0.2. They had a 0.2 chance of making it to the playoffs, the Thunder. And they made it. They were this close to beating the Rockets in the bubble. I'll never forget that. And from there on out, like the Thunder were just, you know, consistently just getting better. Shay's game just elevated once Chris Paul left. Of course,
that 3-guard lineup was crazy.
Yeah. And then, what I wanted to mention with the Suns was I remember that one series with the Nuggets where they had Michael Porter Jr., they had Aaron Gordon. And they got swept by the Suns because every single play, Chris Paul was basically bringing the ball up the court and saying, Nikola Jokic, you are the MVP, but you cannot play defense. And that's exactly what they destroyed him. Okay, they bullied him on the pick and roll. And I actually felt bad for him because then people started to say, oh, the Nuggets, they're flukes, this and the third. I was saying that, you know what I mean? But once Jamal Murray came back, showed who he was, that he's still that guy, he's an all-star caliber player, that's exactly what Nikola Jokic needed, and the Nuggets just took off from there.
Yeah.
And you saw glimpses with James Harden with the 76ers, especially last year, where he plays great and they look like a championship team.
Yeah.
You know, and then he plays bad and they look like they basically get exposed. They're blowing leads left and right. So I think, you know, that's the thing with the Thunder. They have, just like how we mentioned with the Bucks, just like how we mentioned with the Knicks, they have that good guard forward combo with Gilgeous, Holmgren. I just wish Holmgren was a better rebounder. If he was a better rebounder, I think I would really pick the Thunder to win the championship, because that's really the only thing they're missing. They're like 28th in rebounds right now, but they're top 10 in offense and defense. They're consistent. They have two, I mean, Chet's only a rookie, but he's an all-star caliber player.
Yeah.
You know, so I don't think they're going to win it yet. I think they need to go through those growing pains, similar to the Nuggets, similar to any other championship team you can mention.
Yeah.
But I do think that the Thunder, not only, you know, are they a championship team, but I think that's a dynasty that's being built. That's going to, you know, a team that's going to be really good for a long time.
They got mad fucking picks right now.
That's what I'm saying. Like, you know, Timberwolves is sweet. It looks cute. And they're really good.
Yeah.
But, you know, Karl-Anthony Towns, like, look at the age trajectory. That the Thunder are like the second, third youngest team in the league. You know, like, they don't have to worry about those picks. Yeah. The Timberwolves eventually are going to have to worry about those. Like, there might be a point in time in the next 3-5 years where the Timberwolves might not have Karl-Anthony Towns or Rudy Gobert. That's very possible, you know, especially when you're paying Naz Reid all that money. The Thunder, I mean, there's no way you're not going to keep Shea and extend him and offer him as much you could get. And then you have Chet that's already a rookie.
Yeah.
You know?
Nah, yeah, it's a lot, man. The Thunder, the future is really bright for the Thunder. I can't wait to see it. Yeah. But I think they are in that upper echelon of teams. Because especially going into the season, there were teams that I had up there that aren't really like playing up to the standards that we thought. But right now they've been showing we're what, like 32 games in at this point, around there.
Around there.
So they've been kind of showing that they are showing that they are like in the upper echelon of teams. Moving on, next topic. Lakers look really bad right now. It's really confusing. A lot of reports going out. They're frustrated with Darvin Ham. I saw Austin Reeves was frustrated. I know LeBron post game the other day was very frustrated too. They just lost to the Heat the other day.
With no Jimmy
Butler. And LeBron had 12 points. It was bad. It was rough. And then they lost to the Pelicans before that. They lost to the Timberwolves before that. It's just... And I remember the Christmas Day game was pretty embarrassing too.
Yeah.
So, this Lakers team, this is a team that prior...
They played Boston, right? Yeah.
On Christmas Day, that game was kind of embarrassing, bro.
Yeah,
Boston just had their way the whole game.
Yeah.
But, like, this is a team that, before the season, I had them as, like, a 3rd, 4th seed. And right now, currently, they are the 10th seed, I believe. Yeah. Yeah, they're the 10th seed in the West. They're basically, like...
10th?
10th right now.
Wow. Yeah, I thought they were, like, 8th.
Nah, yeah, they're 10th right now.
Wow.
So, it's looking bad. I thought it was going to be a lot better, but a lot of the shit that's going on with the Lakers is, like, lineups. Like, we saw Austin Reeves was starting in the beginning, but he wasn't playing too good. He was coming off the bench. I know he started the other night against the Heat. D'Lo, a lot of people were like happy about D'Lo, but now fans are like, "Yo, get him the fuck out of here."
I don't think they were happy about D'Lo. They were happy that they traded Russ away. That's what they were happy about.
True. But yeah, D'Lo did have some good moments, but ultimately I didn't think was like a good fit for the Lakers.
Yeah.
And this is something we didn't see coming. LeBron and AD have played like a majority of the season. Usually one of the other is like missing games due to injury, but they've both been playing, and it's not working right now. So something's gonna have to change. Vanderbilt was out in the beginning, but he's back, and it's still not looking too good. Rui Hachimura had good moments in the playoffs, and now it's like, so what do you think the Lakers? What do you think is wrong with the Lakers? And what do they have to do?
Well, I gotta say it's a little difficult for me sometimes to talk about the Lakers because, and I can't blame people. Every time I talk about them, I come across as a hater because, they have LeBron James, who's the biggest star in basketball. But in my personal opinion, I just don't think, as crazy as it sounds, because they have LeBron and AD, I don't think that's a championship team. And even before the season started, third, fourth, I didn't think third, fourth, fifth seed, I could have seen that. I had them more like the sixth seed, maybe clamoring into, or like fighting for a play-in spot and whatnot. And, of course, the Laker fans, I know, oh, you're just a hater and all of that stuff. But to me, personally, what I see, and, I felt so bad for Russ when he got traded because, he's in his hometown and people are booing him. And again, I don't want to sound like a hater, but I don't think everybody fits with LeBron James. And Russell Westbrook was one of those players because when Russ was there, they basically told LeBron, look, just take the ball away from him and play point guard. That's essentially what they did because they didn't want, LeBron needs to be surrounded by shooters. He needs to be surrounded by shooters or people that could put the ball in the basket. Right now, the Lakers, outside of Anthony Davis, I don't think there's anybody on that team, including Austin Reeves, that can consistently, give you 20, 22 a night and then go and defend, you know what I mean? Maybe your best player, second, even third best player consistently. Like their defense is fine for the most part, especially with Jared Vanderbilt in the lineup. Yeah. But their offense is just so inconsistent. And I think with LeBron, like that was the thing. People, like you said, oh, we got D'Angelo Russell now. Oh, I should take pressure away from LeBron because he could shoot. And it's like, his shot selection first was, it's not good. All right. Just being nice.
It's horrible.
It's bad. It's bad. Sometimes I question. I like D'Angelo Russell, but sometimes I question. Like, are you okay, bro? Are you just? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if he does things just to do it. Like, I don't understand. He still think he at Ohio State. Exactly. Like I don't know if he still thinks he's with the Buckeyes and stuff. Like he was really good. What was it? I think last year, the first stretch, like the first half of the season with the Timberwolves and whatnot, he had that one really good year with the Nets where I think he was an all-star. He was an all-star, right? Yeah. So it's like, I've seen so many glimpses of D'Angelo Russell where it's like, he gives me hope. But it's like, at this point, I think he's almost 30 now. So it's like, at some point in time, when are you really going to improve to be that guy? Like LeBron is playing point guard again. Yeah. That's the issue with the Lakers. You have a guy that's 39 years old, basically 40, okay, that, you're not taking any pressure away from him. I mean, they're healthy now, thankfully, but hopefully they're healthy in the playoffs. But, what are you going to do in the playoffs? You're just going to give LeBron the ball every time, take the ball up the court? Like, the team right now, and obviously, they know this, Rob Pelinka knows this, he has to. They can't win a championship right now. They have to make moves.
Yeah, they have to make moves. And what you said about the Lakers needing guard play, I think that is ultimately the best fit around LeBron. Like, you need a guard that could play make and score and get like create for the whole team and for himself. Like D'Angelo Russell, he is a creator, like technically, but he's more so looking to create for himself. He's not really trying to create for others. I feel like the best LeBron teams, he had another scoring guard. You had D Wade when he was still like before the knee injuries, still doing really well, was creating for himself and others. And then he goes back to Cleveland. You have Kyrie, who's probably one of the most dynamic scorers ever. He creates for himself and creates for his teammates. Anthony Davis, he's like more so like an anchor, and LeBron is really feeding him. Anthony Davis isn't really like a creator. He's just more of like a play finisher. So if somehow you could get another like creator, that could be the way to go. I remember when Magic was there, they were trying to like implement that. They had Rondo, they had Lance Stevenson.
They won the championship with Rondo.
Yeah, with Rondo, yeah, they did win the championship. And that's kind of what you need. You don't want to have LeBron with the ball in his hands all the time.
Exactly. That's I think the biggest issue.
Nah, yeah. If it's like playoffs last 5 minutes, yeah, LeBron could have the ball in his hands deciding the plays. But like all 82 games, plus if you're trying to win the chip, that's what 16 wins in the playoffs. It's a lot. It's a lot of shit. So as good as Austin Reeves is, I think Austin Reeves is more so trying to create for himself. I feel like he looks to score first. And I think you just need another creator out there, like another like guy that's going to create for not only for himself but for the team as well. And
Absolutely.
That's somebody they need. Kyrie would be a great fit. I know a lot of people have been linking Zach LaVine to the Lakers.
This wouldn't happen, but like a player, I think like if they got him right now, let's just say that I would completely change my opinion on the Lakers. Maybe even have them win the championship. They got somebody like De'Aaron Fox or John Morant that could blow by you. More so De'Aaron Fox because he's improved his jumper a lot.
Yeah, his mid-range is crazy.
That's what I mean. Like somebody like that. And then on top of that, while he's creating that space, now there's so many lanes open that, he's helping to create that he could help assist with. Like that's the type of player that the Lakers need. And I just don't see that happening. Like I don't like Zach LaVine's fit there. I've heard
I don't like
DeJounte Murray.
Nah, I don't like that either.
I like that a lot more than Zach LaVine, but I just like that's the thing about the Lakers with me, and it goes again back to the point. I think since I've been watching basketball, it's always been a key ingredient. Like even with the Lakers, before this era, who was it? It was Kobe and Shaq, and then it was Kobe and Pau Gasol. So you had the guard taking the pressure away from the big man taking the pressure away from the guard. And, like, look at the team I just brought up with the Kings. De'Aaron Fox, Domantas Sabonis. And this is a whole nother subject, so I'm not going to go too long about it. But, like, when people talked about that trade that happened, I will never forget. Everybody was like, "Oh, like it's such an atrocity for the Kings." Like because we talked about how bad the Knicks draft. I'm sorry, any Kings fans out there, but you might be the worst team I've ever seen with drafts. The worst team I've ever seen with drafts. Like, do we have to really Ben McLemore? I mean, like the list go. I mean,
holy
you had
shit,
like
bro.
the Marcus Cousins,
Nick
stuff,
Stauskas.
Like, I was just about to mention Nick Stauskas, bro. Like
Willie Cauley-Stein.
Oh my God, Willie Cauley-Stein, Thomas Robinson. Thomas Robinson. Like they are the worst team I've ever seen when it comes to drafting. So everybody was so upset with Tyrese Halliburton when he got traded. I'm like, yo, they did not fit together, him and De'Aaron Fox. Second, they got Domantas Sabonis. That team completely changed. So I think that's the thing with the Lakers. They need to find somebody, and they need to do it by the trade deadline, or else I think this season is done for them. They need to find somebody. Maybe could have been James Harden, especially the way he's playing now with the Clippers. It doesn't need to be an all-star like De'Aaron Fox, how I mentioned, but just somebody that's realistic.
Mike Conley would be fire.
Yeah, but there's no point in doing that.
Nice.
I think the Timberwolves are very happy with that, but I think the Lakers, that's the biggest thing because, outside of that, and again, this might be the part where people are saying, okay, now you're hating and whatnot. I just think they overachieved, and that's why people in the start of the season had them as the 3rd or 4th seed because, first of all, I think the Timberwolves, they played the Timberwolves, and Rudy Gobert was out because he's arguing with Kyle Anderson over something stupid.
Yeah.
And Jaden McDaniels is out because he punches a fire extinguisher and breaks his hand.
Was it a fire extinguisher or was it the wall?
Or the wall, something like that.
I know Amari punched the fire extinguisher.
Oh, yeah, the Amari did that. Yeah. That's why I got confused.
Yeah, that was funny.
So, the point is, they played the Timberwolves, shorthanded Timberwolves, and they went into overtime, and they needed Anthony Davis to really get them by. And then, who'd they play in that first round? The Grizzlies.
Memphis.
With who was out? I think Brandon Clark was out. They had a bunch of injuries that John Morant missed a game or two. You know what I mean? But
I think he missed one game.
The Grizzlies, either way, were not built to beat that Lakers team. Yeah. And once they played the Nuggets, every game was close. But you saw, Jokic just completely whooped their ass because, Anthony Davis is good defensively. But outside of that, they really didn't have any answers for Nikola Jokic. That was the issue.
Yeah.
You had the unstoppable pick and roll of Jamal Murray and Nikola Jokic. As great as Anthony Davis is, what are you going to do? A pick and roll every time with LeBron and a guy that's basically playing center that's in the middle? That's why it's so important to have that guard-forward combo. You see it with the Celtics. I think that's why, they're so, intrigued and, so supportive of Derek White because they see, Derek White opens up the game for not just Jason Tatum, but for Jaylen Brown and Porzingis now.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I forget what I was just saying. Sorry.
I was about to say.
Yeah.
Not yet. I think it should always be guard, wing, big. That should always be how it is. I feel like with a younger LeBron, you could get away with not having that guard that does shit. But now that he's older, you kind of need that because back then he was so good.
He basically was.
Motherfucker was winning 66 games with Boobie Gibson. Like you didn't need no fucking point guard.
You said Boobie Gibson?
Yeah. Back then, he was winning 60 games, and then
Eric Snow, bro.
Eric Snow, and then he would go to the Heat, and that same team was winning 19 games.
Yeah.
But now since he's older, you need that guard there. And I don't know, a lot of people are saying, "Oh, if you need to make a move like that, you got to trade AD." But nah, because to your point, the Zach LaVine trade, it's cool, but the logic behind it is, LeBron's gonna rest. Zach LaVine's gonna play, he's gonna play every game. But a lot of people forget Zach LaVine is dealing with nagging injuries as well.
Yeah.
So you're just adding another guy that deals with nagging shit too.
And a very big, undesirable contract.
Yeah, that too. That's another big part. And this might fuck up his trade value because the Bulls are playing a lot better without Zach LaVine. We're seeing Kobe White fucking going crazy now. Patrick Williams is starting to play a lot better. And DeMar DeRozan's still doing what he does. So they look a lot better without him. I know he's playing tonight. I want to see how that goes, but
he's a complimentary player to me. He's not early in the season, that's what the Bulls were doing. They were test running and they were trying to run the offense through Zach LaVine, and it just didn't work.
Oh, yeah.
And once if you remember, what was it, last year? Yeah, DeMar DeRozan, how early on in the season he was a big MVP candidate and whatnot.
Was that last year? No, I think that was 2 years ago.
Oh my God, what's wrong with time, bro?
Yeah, time was flying.
But DeMar DeRozan though, he took over essentially, and when he did, the Bulls looked so much better. You know, I think also the biggest part with the Bulls is the fact, like, everybody just forgot about Lonzo Ball.
Yeah.
Because when they had him, they looked like a contender.
They were the number 1 seed.
They were the number 1 seed. Yeah, they looked like a contender. Do I think they would have beaten those teams? Probably not. No. But they probably would have competed. I mean, they played the Bucks, and I remember they lost 4-1. And the one game they won, DeMar had like 40 points. It looked like high school versus college that whole series. You know,
I don't want to talk too much about the Bulls because fuck them, man.
Yeah,
no disrespect.
Yeah, sorry to my brother again.
No disrespect.
Don't worry, I was there as a Knicks fan once. You know, we were all there. Alexei Shved, Sasha Vujicic.
Those were the dark days.
Lou Amundsen.
Langston Galloway.
Mindauskas Kuzmingas. You guys remember him? Jeez.
Yo, that was bad, bro.
Mindauskas Kuzmingas.
The only bright spot for them dark days was like Jared Jack and like Trey Burke.
I forgot about Jared.
Yeah, Jared Jack. He was on the Nets and the Knicks.
Oh my god.
Next topic, and this is probably the last topic. Is this the most talent in the league ever? Because what made me ask this question was because Wednesday night, I was just looking at the box scores, and it was fucking ridiculous. A lot of people were going to say, oh, it's no defense. I mean, yeah, you could say that, but to me, it's like, we got a lot of talent in this motherfucking league. I'm going to just read off some of these box scores. We had the Kings and Magic Wednesday night. 138 to 135.
I saw that game. What a game.
That was a game.
That was one of the best games of the year.
Jazz Pistons, 154 to 148.
The Pistons.
The Pistons is putting up 140. Like, what? This is the worst team in the league, and they put up 148. Like, the best teams in the league in 2004 were putting up, like, 80.
75.
Deadass, 75. Another, Suns Clippers, 131 to 122. You have the Mavericks against the Blazers. They put up 126 points. You have the fucking...
Each?
No, just the Mavericks by themselves.
But, like, how much did...
Oh, the Blazers had 97, so, yeah.
Oh, okay.
And then you have Hawks and Thunder. Hawks had 141. Thunder had 138. And then you have Bucks Pacers. Pacers put up 142. Bucks put up 130. The Cavs and Wizards. The Cavs put up 140. I mean, the Wizards put up 101. That's regular. But, like, all those box scores that night, I'm like, yo.
You mentioned one team that scored with 2 digits. Every other team had 3 digits.
Yeah. It's fucking crazy. I mean, I'm like, bro, the worst team in the league. I mean, yeah, granted, they went to overtime, but still. I remember games back then that it'll go to OT and the final score is like 99 to fucking 93. And that was an overtime game. The fucking worst team in the league just put up 148 points. And it's crazy. So with that, I'm like, is this the best young talent or just talent in general we've ever had in the league?
I don't even think it's close. I really don't. And, you know, people, especially, you know, a lot of older heads, they'll say, oh, that sounds crazy and whatnot. But you got to realize, especially in comparison with the MLB and NFL, the NBA is a pretty new league. You know, like those leagues, I'm pretty sure have already hit a century. Yeah. The NBA hasn't even hit a century yet.
This is year, what, 78?
I think 78 now. Yeah, so, you know, like, of course, there's been, I think now, like, more than 5,000 players, you know, that have, like, played in the league and whatnot. But it's like back then, okay, and again, you know, of course we weren't alive and whatnot, but like Wilt Chamberlain was not pulling up from 3. It just wasn't happening, okay? And Bill Russell, all of that stuff. Nobody was pulling up from 3. Nobody, I mean, the first time I saw Victor Wembanyama was like 2 or 3 years ago. When I saw him on video, I just went like what the fuck? Like, we got this guy 7 foot. You know, like, it's just incredible. I will never forget. And to me, like it just was so unbelievable. I'll never forget when Kristaps Porzingis was being recruited. I didn't want him. I thought he was going to be a bust. I'm like, I just didn't believe it. I'm like, this guy, he's 7'3". He can shoot the lights out. He has a dribble maneuver, all that stuff. Like, he can get anywhere he wants to on the court. But it's like I just haven't seen it. Yeah. Like, nobody in the league has done it. So it's like, why should I believe that he's just going to come in here and just, wreak havoc amongst the league? And eventually, over time, he had to develop the skills. But, like, I think that's what you're seeing now is a lot of these players, people talk so much about, like, talent and whatnot. Like, when people were talking about that whole Giannis and James Harden debate and how, you got to be skilled and whatnot. Yeah, and all of these big men are getting, like, Giannis, okay, fine. He might not, even though last night he had those 2 big threes against the Jazz, but, like, they played the Spurs. The Spurs. He might shoot under 30% from 3 every year. But, I mean, how many guys are 6'11", can run like that, like a freight train, can dribble like that, can jump like that? Like,
and he's shooting 60% from the field right now.
There's one guy I remember I go back and forth with. He's a big Kyrie fan. And he would say, Kyrie Irving, like he's... And I don't want to sound like I'm hating on Kyrie or anything. Kyrie in this generation, no matter what anybody wants to say, including my brother, top 5 point guard of this generation. No doubt about it, especially the 2010s. But I think sometimes, and again, I really don't want to sound disrespectful, sound like a hater. Yeah, he might be the player that's had the best handles in, league history, especially in modern league history. Yeah. That's it. Like, with all due respect, how far is that going to get you? When I see guys like, taller than you that can handle just as good as you, they're just not as fancy, but they can handle just as good as you, they're the same ball security as you, they could shoot just as good as you, they rebound just as good as you, they defend just as good as you. I'm talking about guys like Giannis, like, Luka Doncic, for example, Joel Embiid. I mean, Joel Embiid is not normal. It's just not normal. Nikola Jokic, to me, is just not normal. Like, what big man, 6'11", averages a triple-double? Yeah. Like, that Oscar Robertson, Russell Westbrook, people were like, oh, why? Because a small guy, you're energetic. It's easier, sometimes for you to get rebounds when you have that adrenaline as opposed to a big man that, not in terms of rebounding, but to get the assists when you don't even have the ball in your hands that much. But when you can run an offense like how Jokic is with the ball in your hand, like, I can go on all this. Out of every topic, this is probably the one I can go on the most about.
About the most talent in the league?
It's everywhere. Me personally, I don't see how you can disagree with that, because even back then, like, you had your superstars, Jordan, Larry Bird, Magic, of course. But, like, when you have guys like, Patrick Beverly, that's become a household name, that's never made an all-star game because he's a great defensive player. He does all the little things. You know what I mean? Like, to me, that just exemplifies, like, yeah, this league is so talented that, like, every player, it seems like, as opposed to back then, gets more recognition now. Like, there's a lot more players getting recognition now than back then, even fighting for the All-Star game.
Yeah, that's true. I think this is the most talented the league has ever been. Yeah. And I go back and forth with some old heads. They be like, nah, man, the league was way better back then. I'm like, bro,
it was just more physical.
Yeah, it was just a lot more physical. That's all it was. But I'm like, bro, in terms of skill, we have motherfuckers today that are hiding on the bench that once they get the opportunity, they might fucking explode. Like, we saw fucking Cam Thomas last year. As soon as he got his opportunity to start, 40 ball. 3 straight 40 balls. And I'm saying the same thing. I'm like, bro, we have a lot of these guys that are just hiding on the bench. I'm like, bro, Bones Highland, he could easily just have a 30 any given night. I feel like you could not say that about guys back then.
Yeah.
Like you could.
This dude, I'm sorry, but like this dude, Bo, the other night, like I think 2 straight nights, and I saw Shaq coming out.
Oh, he's like, I told y'all.
Yeah, I told y'all. And I swear, I'm when he said that, I was having a conversation with somebody about it. I was like, do I think he's as good as Victor Chet? No, but he can do the same things as them. So I don't think he's crazy for even making that insinuation, because what can Bobo do? I mean, what can Chet Holmgren do or Victor Wembanyama do that Bobo can't do? They might do it at a higher level.
Oh, I was about to say anchor an elite defense.
Yeah, I mean,
the Spurs aren't an elite defense, but
they aren't. But Bobo might not be an elite defender, but he can protect the rim. He could get some block shots and stuff. Is he? I think Chet Holmgren is, in my opinion, between the three, the best defensive player out of all of them, and you saw that when he was in Gonzaga. But I don't know.
Offensively, I might agree with you, but defensively, I don't think Bobo could do what those two could do.
Yeah, I don't think he's as good as them, but he's not going to anchor defense.
I know what you mean.
But I could see him averaging the same amount of blocks. It's just blocks. It's kind of like steals. It's a little bit of a misconception. That doesn't mean you're always playing defense just because you have a lot.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. But he has the skills to play that sort of defense. He just doesn't.
No, yeah. And then back to what I was saying about the league with all this talent. I'm like, yo, we just have a lot of motherfuckers in the league that could just a lot of people have been pointing to expansion, so we could just have all these guys sitting at the end of the bench. They go somewhere else. Like, I feel like if Trey Mann went to another team, or just got his own shine, got his own opportunity, he could be like a 17-point per game scorer.
Yeah.
But he's just hiding right now on the Thunder bench. There's a lot of guys out there, like even quickly off the bench. The other night he had like 26. I'm like, damn.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's just a lot of talent in this league going around. Like even Benedict Mathurin to an extent on the Pacers. I know he was
one of my favorite players.
Yeah, I know he was a lottery pick last year. Not really like a role player, but like he's coming off that bench and he gives them a spark. And there's a lot of people like you don't even see it coming. Like, cause I remember back then I can't imagine a motherfucker like Byron Russell dropping like 40 out of nowhere. Like I feel like that's the type of talent we have in the league now. Like a motherfucker off the bench. Like we just saw Jordan Clarkson have a triple double. and it was the first Jazz triple double since Carlos Boozer or some shit. Yeah. And I'm like, I feel like a lot of that shit happens more now. A lot of people say it's because of the spacing and the pace and shit like that. I'm like, yeah, that could be true. But I'm like, at the same time, I feel like a lot of the niggas back then could not do that now.
But what did you just say? Pacing and space. Why is that? Because everybody could shoot.
Yeah.
So that just adds on to the point. Back then, everything was so crammed up. Centers were so dominant because, that's where everybody played.
And it was a slower game back then.
Exactly. It was a slower game. Obviously people didn't shoot threes as much because they just weren't as good. And that, like now, as much as I love ball, there's games I watch. I'm not even going to lie sometimes. I'm like, am I watching a game or a 3-point contest, But that's because certain teams, like the Celtics, for example, the Celtics, in my opinion, and I know this might sound crazy, you got to remember, these are NBA players. Like, they're not just your average, you go to, pick up ball and whatnot, and some old head drops 20 on you. Like, these are NBA players, bro. They could do everything. I don't think there's a single player on that cell. Like, I'm sorry, but, like, with Mitchell Robinson, again, obviously you guys see Knicks fan and everything, so of course I'm always going to come back to my Knicks. I would see every single offseason Mitchell Robinson just taking like 3-pointers and in my mind I'm like, okay, so are they gonna space him out now? Like, is he gonna start shooting threes? No, never. And in my head I'm like he can do it if he really wants to. Like, he can just pop up and shoot a 3. But that's a low percentage shot, so they're not gonna do it. But like back then, guys weren't doing. Shaq wasn't just coming up pulling up for three.
You know what's funny? I think the opposite of you.
Like Elton Brand wasn't just coming up pulling up for three.
It's funny because I think the opposite of you. Because when I see those videos of Mitchell Robinson like doing ball handling drills and shooting threes, in my head I'm like, why the fuck are you doing that? Because you are not shooting those shots in game. I'm like, motherfucker, work on your free throws, please. But yeah, you want him to shoot threes. But yeah, that you are right though. That goes to how the league is now. Like now, we have bigs coming into the league now that could fucking handle the ball, that could shoot. Like Wemby's like the first that we're seeing. We're probably gonna see other guys that are like him or
I disagree.
Similar. You don't think we'll see an?
No, I think it started in 2007 when the Seattle Supersonics drafted Kevin Durant. I think Kevin Durant, and people, and I don't, they make the argument with Stephen Curry, in terms of who, has changed the game the most throughout the last few years.
Yeah.
I think it's Kevin Durant because, all of these big men now essentially are unicorns. And it really started with him because he's the first big man that really came in, can do it. I mean, he can handle, like crazy. I mean, that guy, I remember in OKC, just like everywhere. Yeah. I'm like, yo, this guy is ridiculous, yo. Mad lanky and all of that stuff. And now you're seeing Kristaps Porzingis, Giannis Antetokounmpo, how hard he worked, to actually become, like probably the best transition player in the league. Yeah. Not every Jonas Valanciunas isn't gonna run in like Giannis, and like it just doesn't happen. No. So I think Kevin Durant was the first person to do it, and I think it's only gonna get better.
Nah, that's actually good that you said that because I never really thought about it like that. But now it does make a lot of sense. I do feel like Curry did change the way how the game is played, but Kevin Durant is kind of like he changed the way of like there's gonna be a lot of motherfuckers like trying to mimic that build. Like a lot of people of his stature and build are welcomed and accepted into the league because before him it was a very big man dominated game. Like a lot of, especially in that draft, you had Greg Oden in the draft. He was the number one guy, and a lot of people going in like Kevin Durant is too skinny, he don't lift weights, and then Kevin Durant just changed that. So now we see a lot of skinny tall dudes coming into the league, like a bunch of them. But a lot of them are excelling because they're like really skillful guys. Because that was Kevin Durant. He set the blueprint for that. So yeah, I feel like Kevin Durant is like he is a part of history, and he did change the game as well.
Yeah,
with Stephen Curry. So yeah, that is good that you pointed it out because I never really thought about it like that.
I remember, man, we're throwing this back, man, because I remember, you were actually the first person that I heard Brandon Ingram from. So once I started like watching him play in Duke, that was the first thing that came to. I was like, this guy is a mini Kevin Durant, and that's when I really started to notice like, the influence KD had on the league because it seemed like almost every year after that, you're about to laugh. Like, who I remember they were saying, oh, he could be like a Brandon Ingram, like a Kevin Durant now, since everybody's coming.
I think I know what you're about to say.
Fucking Dragon Bender, bro.
Yeah. Nah, you know who I was thinking about? I was thinking about Kevon Looney.
Oh, nah.
Because in high school, he had a mixtape, and they're like, the next Kevin Durant. I'm like, bro, get the fuck out of here, bro.
I remember that.
Yeah.
But so like, with Brandon Ingram, I think that was like the first person I really started to notice. But like, ever since then, it's really just been like, I'm not saying every player, of course, but, people say now it's like the most important position in the league is a forward. And I don't necessarily disagree because when you have, and look, for somebody that's short like me, I can admit, size in basketball is obviously an advantage and it does matter. And if you're 6'9", 6'10", and you have every skill in the book, it's hard for you to not be an All-NBA player. And it seems like all of these bigger guys are starting to see that, and they're being taught now, if you want to make it, you can't just be a back-to-the-basket, post-up player. like Jahlil Okafor anymore. Like you have to be somebody that, can really spread the. I mean, you don't have to be Jokic, okay, doing all his crazy
Okafor
shit.
came at the fucking worst time, bro. I feel bad, yo. Because he came in right when the league was changing.
He did, because I really think he would have been that guy was a beast.
If he got drafted in fucking like 99,
oh my God.
Yo, he would have been a problem.
Yo, he was so good in Duke. Like, obviously, Cat is better now. I mean, Cat, he's from like 5-10 minutes from where I'm from, So, like, I have that, like, special connection with Cat and stuff. Hell, I met his mom, like, a month before she died. So, but I'm just being, like, to me, Jahlil Okafor, I thought in college, I'm like, this guy would destroy Cat. Like, Cat was listed as, was touted as, like, the better defensive player or whatnot, which she was in Kentucky.
Oh, yeah, at the time, yeah.
But, like, I'm like, yo, like, the way Jahlil Okafor just played, I'm like, this guy would destroy Karl Anthony Towns. And he came into the league. I don't think he won Rookie of the Year, but no, he didn't.
Nah, Cat won.
Yeah, Cat won, that's right. Yeah. And, but I remember he averaged like 17
Yeah, he averaged like
points.
17 and 7 or some shit.
Yeah, and then once they got Joel Embiid, it was over. So
yeah. But yeah, man, it's a talented league right now. Yeah. It's gonna keep getting better.
It has to.
Cause look, it's scary now. Cause bro, Chet is a rookie, technically year 2, but Paolo year 2, Wemby's a rookie, J-Dub rookie, like Brandon Miller, like all these guys, Jaime Jaquez, like there's a lot of good young guys in the league right now.
Yeah. Like the fantasy league that we play in, I think I'm like 7-2 in that league or something. And almost everyone, like my whole lineup, and LaMelo Ball's been out. LaMelo Ball, Shea Gilgeous, I got Scotty Barnes, I got Paolo Banchero. Like, I remember that's why I was telling my brother, I'm like, that's what the league is now. And teams now, like, let's just call it, we're just getting old because all of these guys are getting old now. Kevin Durant, LeBron, James Harden, Stephen Curry, Russell Westbrook, all the guys that took over the league, they're most of them, okay, except for like KD and Steph, okay, are now deferring to other players, like they're second, third options on their team now. And I feel like almost every team now has at least one young player that you look at. Like, look at the Raptors. Yes, Siakam is, you can maybe say he's their best player, but like Scotty Barnes is knocking on the door. He's right there. Yeah. And last year you wouldn't have said that, because these guys, that's the other thing too. I think as fans, we have to we have to be more patient. We did it with Brandon Ingram, who we mentioned before. His first year as a Laker, he wasn't good. Yeah. But some players need time. Yeah. Every player's going to come in, like LeBron. LeBron is just a different animal. Not everybody's going to come in and be the best player in the league their rookie year. It just doesn't happen.
No one's going to come in like Luka, LeBron, and fucking Kareem.
Luka was the last player to really come in like his rookie year. I think he's averaged 20 points every year since his rookie year. He's one of the only players in the league.
Yeah, Paolo averaged 20 last year too.
Yeah. But this is only his second year.
His year too. But moving on, last name before we go, we got I know Jordan's not here. He usually is the host for this, but it's MVP of the week. I probably messed up on this because I only have 3 nominees. The 3 guys I name, you might not even have, but usually we always pick MVP of the week. And we cannot have we can't have 2 guys, so we always got to pick one. We did 2 guys one time. So we usually go by the stats based on the week of so we recorded last Saturday. So basically from last Saturday to today, there's stats in that time period. And for me, I mean, I know Jordan takes it into account too. I like to take wins into account. If your team went 3-0, it's kind of a boost. The only way it doesn't is if you had overwhelming stats. I remember the one time we broke the rule, the back-to-back rule, was when Giannis had that 64-point game.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So my nominees for this week, the first guy, have Giannis Antetokounmpo. He had 38 points, 18 rebounds, 11 assists one game, 26 points, 11 rebounds, 8 assists, 44 points, 14 rebounds, 7 assists. And I got to check his team record real quick because I did not write that down. They went 1-2 in that stretch. My next person is Tyrese Halliburton. He had 22 points, 23 assists. Next game, he had 26 points, 9 rebounds, 11 assists. And then the next game after that, 31 points, 12 assists. They went 3-0 in that stretch. And then my last guy is Paolo Banchero, who had 28, 9 and 7, 27, 12 and 6, and then 43, 4 and 5. But they went 0-3 in that stretch.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think Magic have been losing lately.
So, Victor, who is your MVP of the week?
Does it have to be somebody from that list?
Usually it does, but Jordan's in charge of this shit. I don't really care. You could name somebody else, but that was just me doing my homework.
Yeah, and I like that list a lot. Paolo is turning into maybe my favorite young player. I like Paolo a lot, but I'm gonna go with. I'm sorry, I have to. There's no way I can't say Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. The games that, and maybe because like I watch a lot of League Pass as well, and maybe because of the games I was watching personally, but I don't think there was a game. I think maybe one game he had like 25 points, but basically every other game like he scored over 30.
Yeah.
His stats have been incredible. They've been winning. They've beaten all the best teams in the league. So in my opinion, it would be hard for me to not I want to pick from that list, but it's just hard for me to not pick Shai because, especially like out of all of those teams right now, and I know my brother, of course, would disagree because he's a big Damian Lillard fan. I'm starting to think the Thunder are the best team out of all of them as well, So I think I'm gonna go with him. But if I had to pick somebody on your list, again, I know they went 1-2, but Giannis, for sure. Giannis has, he never cheats the game with his effort, of course, but like, I kind of feel like he's been, and it's not a knock against Lillard at all because Lillard's been doing his thing, but I feel like Giannis on both ends of the floor has really been carrying the Bucks lately. Where I'm not saying Tyrese Halliburton hasn't with the Pacers, but I feel like the Pacers overall as a whole, like they have the best offense in the league for a reason, and it's not just because of Tyrese. Like we mentioned Ben before, I think what's his name? I can't think of him. Bruce Brown. I think he's another. I mean, he hasn't been like crazy this year, but like he's somebody that helps him a lot. TJ McConnell, like they have a lot of guys. It could like Giannis to me, the whole thing runs around through him. So
yeah. It always sucks when I have to make these MVP of the week list because I'm like, fuck, I be thinking too much, having to get everything together. But yeah. Shai should have been included. He had a very good week. But with that being said, even if I chose Shai, technically can't win because I just remembered last week he was the MVP of the week. So my pick is also going to be Giannis. He went crazy this week, like he always does normally. It's not even a question. Halliburton did have a good week. He did spark my eye. Just with the 3-0 record, like they've been hooping, like the team like as a whole. His stats been good, but Giannis has just been going crazy, and it's just regular for him. I did want to show Paolo some love, but they lost 3 straight, so it's really nothing much I could say. But MVP of the week this week is Giannis Antetokounmpo. I don't know how much he's won this year already. I know Jordan keeps track of all the MVP of the weeks. I think the person that has the most, I think, is Luka. I think Luka has the most, but yeah. Is there anything?
Luka must have had a quiet, even though he's probably still putting up like 30 points per game week, because he had that 1 week he was averaging like 50 fucking points, bro.
That Christmas Day game was crazy. Bro, that was last week. That was our MVP of the week. For me, it was between Shea and Luka.
Yeah.
And I picked Shea, but for me it was like, no, I picked Luka, but I went back and forth. Like I couldn't decide, and then we ended up flipping a coin, and it was Shea.
He's leading the league in scoring, right, Luka?
I think it's Embiid.
It might be. Embiid has 34 points.
I think Embiid's averaging like 35. I think Luka might be second.
Yeah, because this week I feel like it's been a little quiet, but every time it's like 45, 15. I'm like,
it's Embiid, yeah. Embiid's averaging 34.8.
Okay, yeah, Luka's second, 33.7.
Nah, yeah. But that's it, guys, for the show. I want to say thank you for pulling up and being a guest on the show. Means a lot, knows a lot about his ball. Is there anything that you want to shout out before we get out of here?
Let's go Knicks, of course. And, I mean, it's always a good pod. I like watching it, so, yeah. Really all I got to say.
Yeah, guys, if you guys are listening on audio, please give us 5 stars. Please like on YouTube. Please subscribe. It's going up every day. The shorts is going crazy. On TikTok, please follow us at the J&J Podcast. On Instagram, the J&J Podcast 1 is going up. Thank you, guys. Appreciate you, and we'll see you. Peace.